Hey everybody, welcome to the Small Scale Life Podcast. I'm your host, Tom. Hey, welcome to the show. I am doing a simulcast, not only on the podcast, but also on our YouTube channel. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the Small Scale Life Podcast. We talk about wellness, we talk about homesteading, we talk about gardening, especially gardening. And it is garden season. It is full force and everything is going great. Well, things are going pretty well. There's other things we need to talk about. We talked about 4 failures last week. So we're going to kind of build on that this week and talk about things and steps that I'm taking to overcome those challenges and failures. So we'll jump into that in a minute. I wanted to do a couple of announcements before we jump into the main show topic. So big news, everybody. Big news. So the Whole30 book is out. It just came out. And I've been listening to the Audible book, the book on Audible. So basically like a big long podcast, a 5-hour long podcast, which is a lot. But starting to pick that apart, pull that apart and understand what the changes are to the new Whole30. And I'm not ready to talk about that yet. That'll be, I think, next week. So we're going to talk a little about wellness next week and kind of gear you up because I'm thinking September 3rd is kicking off a whole new worldwide or global or nationwide or however far the reach of the Whole30 world goes. They're kicking off a national Whole30 challenge. So I was thinking September 3rd might be a good way or good day for us to kick off another Whole30 challenge. We ran 2 this year and they went very well, lost over 25 pounds, and I want to lose some more. I want to keep going. I want to clean up my diet. I want to clean up what I'm eating. I want to make some big changes in that regard. I want to be here for a long time. I want to be talking to you for a long time. And to do that, I need to clean up my health, get stronger, get healthier. So September 3rd, we're going to do a Whole30 challenge. Okay. So that said, I will be getting the Small Scale Life newsletter going again because some announcements and things will be coming out on the newsletter. So, I will let you know when some free stuff is available on the newsletter. So we'll have the 24-hour plan, we'll have the new rules, we'll have some shopping lists, we'll have some things for you. So you'll have to sign up to the Small Scale Life newsletter to get that. We'll make some adjustments to our materials and get those set up. I mean, looking at the rules right now, it's nothing too wild and crazy. Just some tweaks here and there. The big change was, I'm getting ahead of myself, but really incorporating the plant-based Whole30. So for vegans and vegetarians to participate in Whole30, that was where the real big changes are. There's some other minor changes, I think, to the but the regular Whole30. So we'll get into that in the next show. So Small Scale Life newsletter, September 3rd, mark your date and mark your calendar, Whole30 challenge at Small Scale Life Wellness Club on Facebook. That's a free Facebook group there. So pressing forward. Couple other new announcements. One, garden tours. So I am doing garden tours and posting those on Fridays on the Small Scale Life YouTube channel. I've got a couple in the hopper. I got one ready for this week, so we'll have that on Friday. So be watching for that on Friday. Last week, I don't think I posted one because I had the podcast that came out a little late. So be watching for those on Friday. So even if you don't like to hear me talk on the show about the topic or whatever, there's still garden tours and you can learn something new every time you visit a garden. So go check that out. I have a playlist set up where those garden tours are going to drop in. I've been thinking about pulling the ones off of Small Scale Gardening and putting those in there because there's 3 or 4, maybe half dozen in that channel. Pull those into that playlist so there's more content for you there. So check that out on the Small Scale Life YouTube channel. If you haven't been telling, I've been a little more active on YouTube channel because I'm trying to grow that a little bit and be a little more consistent. I've been consistent on the YouTube channel more than I have on the podcast, which is sad, but it's true. So we're going to keep building both, right? And this podcast episode is going to feed right into that. So newsletter. Okay, September 3rd, right? New Whole30 challenge. That's 1. 2, the newsletter on the email list is going to get started again. 3, the garden tours on the Small Scale Life YouTube channel is going. 4 is we're going to be starting interviews again, right? So we're going to do some more interviews with people, bring them on the show, talk to them. If you would like to be on the show, the Small Scale Life podcast, if you want to be on a live stream, I'm going to get to that. That's my last announcement. But if you want to be on the show, we don't have to go live. We can do pre-recorded. That's the way it's easy, less pressure. You can go live, whatever. We're going to reactivate that and get interviews going again. So check out the contact page on the smallscalelife.com website and send me an email. We'll get you in there. There were a couple of folks. I am sorry that when things kind of took a pause there's some folks that were trying to get on, and I just had to punt there. I was not in a place to do that. But now we are. So if you want to be on the show, let me know. We'll get you scheduled up and everything. So last announcement. I'm thinking about bringing or hosting a live stream weekly, a weekly live stream. My friend Adam Rick, who's been on the show a couple times, and we've been talking, and we're talking about a weekly live stream. Is anybody interested in that? We talk about probably gardening and talk about his meat business, and we'll just talk about leadership, and we'll talk about health and wellness and maybe some other interesting rabbit holes we'll dive into. If you listen to our other podcasts and you know Adam, he doesn't talk at all, so I'm going to have to do all the heavy lifting here. No, just kidding. So he is my brother from another mother, and he is great. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stories about Oxford, Wisconsin told, and people and spaces and the old country and food, definitely food. That is in my wheelhouse. So we'll be talking a lot about that. So if you're interested in a live stream, let me know. Send me a comment. If you're on YouTube, the comment right here on this YouTube video, or if you're on smallscalelife.com, you can send me a note there, or realsmallscalelife@gmail.com. realsmallscalelife@gmail.com, you can send us a note. So, 7 minutes of announcements. That's sad. We haven't done this for a while, announcements, so it's good to get those all away. So thank you so much. Let's get on to the show. So this week, my friends, what are we talking about? Well, we're going to build on what we talked about last week. Last week, I talked about my 4 failures in the garden. And if you listen to it, you figured out that the 4 failures were 4 different kinds of vegetables. 1, cherry tomatoes and grow bags. And it was all related to grow bags. So 1 is cherry tomatoes, 2, pole beans, 3, cucumbers, and 4, peppers. God, the peppers have been terrible this year in my garden. And I've been racking my brain, why did this stuff go belly up? And the real deal is that it didn't go so well because I took a shortcut. It was my fault. I took a shortcut and I used cheap soil from big box store number 1. So I thought it looked good. It didn't have a lot of sticks in it, didn't have clay in it. I thought, man, we are golden. This is going to work. And even if it's a little off, I can work with that. Turns out it was a lot off. It was off. It was terrible. It sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible soil. I mean, it's like I dumped a bunch of sand in my grow bags, in my 3-gallon grow bags and my 5-gallon grow bags. Everything was stuck in neutral. Everything was stuck, and the only way I had to resort to some of the dark arts of gardening. Yes, the dark arts. Use the force. I feel the hate rising in you. No, it's no hate. Maybe a little hate. Maybe a little bit of hate. When my plants are stuck in neutral, there's a lot of hate. But so I had to perform some of the dark arts of gardening, and that's our topic this week, is talking about some fertilizer stuff. Fertilizer. Let's talk some shit. Let's talk about some shit. Let's talk about fertilizers. And I'm going to keep it really high level here. I know that I'm going to get some hate on this because the first fertilizer the first 2 I'm talking about is the stuff. It is the true evil dark arts of gardening, right? True dark arts. And you're not going to like it because we do want to be organic. We do want to use natural materials. We do want to use natural fertilizers. We want to maintain the soil health. It's like I say in some of my closings, we want to heal the land. We want to heal the soil. We want to heal the plants, heal ourselves at the same time. And here, the first 2 types are pouring chemically modified yuck on our plants. And I'm guilty of doing it. Yes, I am. I am guilty this year of doing it. So I've got 8 different types of fertilizers. 6 are natural stuff, 2 are the chemical stuff, and we're just gonna have to talk about it. So I've got notes. If you're looking at the video, I do have my handy dandy cards. Formerly nicotine stained fingers, if you know what that is. Anyway, so let's talk about them, right? So the first one, yep, it's the little blue pills. Yes, Miracle Grow. I don't know if you've used Miracle Grow, but it is a fertilizer. It is a chemical processed thing of oil, salt, and other things all melded together in Miracle Grow. It's a fertilizer. And yes, this year I broke the emergency glass and I'm using Miracle Grow. Begin the hate now. Now you type it in. Tommy's a big boy. I can handle it. But yes, I decided to use Miracle Grow. Things were getting a little desperate there. My peppers were stuck in neutral. Everything was kind of just, it's like they popped the first leaves and then there was no nutrients left in that soil. So I don't know what's the deal with this topsoil, this soil that I use. It's like the worst topsoil you've ever seen. So I decided to go big and I went Miracle Grow. I guess I made two mistakes. One was picking the cheap soil to begin with. That was my mistake. That cheap stuff, terrible. Second is I don't like using the chemical stuff. I don't like it, but I'm using it. So there, hypocrisy number one, right? But I'm using it and I broke the glass. I paid $11, bought the little thing with the blue granules in it, and I am using Miracle Grow. So I wish I could say that it sucked and it didn't work, but it is working. And I have to tip my hat where you have to compliment them. They do have this stuff dialed in. So 1 1/4 tablespoon per gallon, or whatever the instructions say. I think it's 1 1/4 tablespoons per gallon. I mix it up in 5-gallon batches and I pour some around the base of the plants, whether it's the cherry tomatoes or the green beans or the peppers or the cucumbers. That's what I've been doing. And that's the only way right now that I've gotten some growth. Now, only way, I can't really say that because I didn't try the organic methods. I just went right to the glass and broke it because I live up in a zone 4B and it's been getting chilly in the mornings already. It's August 20th and it was like 60 some degrees this morning. Winter is coming. My time out there is limited. Now I've got 30, 40, maybe 45 days before first frost, maybe 50. Okay. And I was getting a little desperate, right? I made a bad decision early on and I'm trying to correct it with chemicals. Woo, the American way. But yes, Miracle Grow. I don't let it steep long. I just mix this stuff in a 5-gallon bucket and then I pour some around the base of the plant. And that's it. And that is enough. It unlocked whatever in these plants, the stuck part. And they started to grow again. So yes, I have had success with Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow, there. Yeah, Miracle Grow. So pressing forward. So that's number one, is the type of fertilizer you can use. Don't recommend it. You are salting the earth and not awesome, but I am using it. And this soil that I'm using in my grow bags is all going to get reworked. I remove the soil from the garden, like excommunicado, and it's going to go into the compost bin. And I'm just going to work this stuff with leaf mulch and all the good stuff. And we'll talk about that at the very end too. Number 2, we have the Mittleider Method. Mittleider Method. So what is the Mittleider Method? Dr. Mittleider was a professor, I believe in Utah, came up with a process for growing plants he basically felt that soil is a medium, right? A medium. And so use sand and sawdust, or peat moss and sawdust and sand. I mean, just use these weird mixtures of materials because it really, the soil you plant in isn't exactly soil. It's just a growing medium, like they use the rocks in the hydroponic, right? And you're adding your nutrient to the soil. You're controlling how it grows through the use of fertilizers. And it doesn't matter if you're salting your sand. and sawdust, because you're adding the nutrients, all the nutrients they need from the packets they sell you. Okay, so you come up with a, it's called the micronutrients, and you get this pack of micronutrients, and you mix it with a 25-pound bag of whatever fertilizer you can get. And you mix this stuff up, and you add in 4 pounds of Epsom salts to this. So it has a ton of micronutrients. It's got the NPK, and it's got Epsom salts, which is magnesium and sulfur. So you're adding all these things into this mix of chemicals, and then you're applying that to your grow beds, which are, your grow beds are just like a square foot garden, except they're 2 feet wide or 16 inches wide, 16 inches wide by however long you want to make them, or they're 32 inches wide by however long you want to make them. And you are intensively growing because, you know, you're thinking, I am going to be putting up for the end of the world, so, or for really hard times, so I'm growing a lot of plants and I want them to have the nutrients that I am providing for them, not Mother Nature. So here are some chemicals, and away we go. I've used this method before, early in 2014 or so. It does work, but again, you are salting the earth, right? These are chemicals you're adding. Now, the micronutrients, I think you can get that through rock dust and blood meal and some other things. There's other ways you can get this stuff. You do not need to put the fertilizers on, and you're using the dosage, if you will, right? Like a doctor. It's 1 tablespoon per foot of garden, okay? Per linear foot. So 1 tablespoon per linear foot. And you're applying this weekly. So when I used it, when I tried it, because I was really interested in growing a lot of food in a really small space when I was renting, I used it, but I used the fertilizer and diluted it in water, kind of like the Miracle-Gro, like 1 tablespoon per gallon. And then I did apply weekly, and I did have good results, but that's Mittleider. It's, again, a chemical process. Okay, pressing forward. Let's get into more organic stuff. And let's start out with another fabulous controversial one. And this is making, I like using, making teas, right? So whether it's Miracle-Gro, I make like a tea, you know, I dilute it in water. And then with these other ones, I like to dilute everything with water and use water in this. It just, to me, it makes sense. And so the first one on the list are used coffee ground tea. It's a used coffee ground tea. So your grounds, after you brew your coffee, you take those grounds and you start to save them up. And then you can put them in water in a 5-gallon bucket, and you steep it. You let it sit for a day, 2 days, 3 days, however long you want. And then you can add it to the base of your plants, and it gives them nitrogen. It gives them some micronutrients. It gives them some water. And I've seen pretty good growth. I have seen it work, and it is one of my most popular videos. If you type in use coffee ground tea or use coffee ground on plants, guess whose YouTube comes up? This guy right here. So I have used it in the past. I have a bucket of it steeping right in the garden right as we speak, and I'm going to apply that tomorrow to my plants in the wicking bed. So basically, how do you do it? Again, when I talk about water, I'm talking about non-chlorinated water. So if I take it out of the tap, I let it sit for, I don't know, for 12 hours, 6 hours, you know, try to get that chlorine out. Fortunately, like, I'm in the creation station, so right over there, I have a rain barrel, and I've been using my rain barrel a lot. And so I use the water out of the rain barrel, and then I'll put the coffee grounds in there, or the compost, or all those other things we're going to talk about. So I'm not using chlorinated water, which is great. So I'm using about 2 cups of used grounds in a 5-gallon bucket. I let it steep for 6 hours, but usually, like right now, this is going about 48 hours, you know, just letting that stuff kind of percolate a little bit. And then I add it to the base of the plants. Now, I'm a real big believer in adding it to the base of the plants, not dumping it over the top. I mean, with your tomatoes, that is going to get you blight. Do not do that, okay? Put it around the base, keep it low and slow, low to the ground. Do not get your leaves wet. That just encourages all the yuck. So don't do that, okay? So even with the cucumbers, even with the green beans, whatever, I keep it low and slow, right around the base of the plant. I don't be spraying it all over the place, okay? Except for the next one you could. So that, my friends, use coffee grounds. So if you're trying to write this down and all this stuff, don't worry, I'll have the notes on Small Scale Life, and I'll probably have to break this into different posts, just so, you know, if you want that one, you don't have to wade through everything. Like when you get a recipe, you have to wade through everybody's story about their great grandmother and great grandpa Bob and how Grandpa Bob did this and, you know, made it every year, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep it easy, right? Simple and easy to find. So that'll be coming on smallscalelife.com. Don't worry. Next one. It's low and slow all the time, except for this one. Epsom Salt Tea. Epsom salts, magnesium and sulfur. So if you've ever been out there with your green beans or your pole beans and you see that they're starting to look brown and they're starting to look a little gamey, the leaves are, you know, and you're like, man, these things should be thriving. They should be great. They are telling you that they are starting to produce beans. So get ready. And this is the time to add the Epsom Salt Tea to their base, because that gives them that magnesium and sulfur, and they will pop. They will create wonderful beans. And they're just telling you that, hey, I'm using up all these nutrients to create beans. So it's really simple. Again, non-chlorinated water, 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. And I'd mix it in 5-gallon batches. And I've even done it where, I think in the video where I used the used coffee grounds, I had mixed some Epsom salts in there too. So it was kind of a double whammy. But 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon in a 5-gallon bucket. And again, apply to the base of your plant. Don't spray it all over. But actually with this one, you can. You could actually spray the leaves of your pepper plants or your beans. It will absorb through there, but I don't usually do that. I'm really freaky about spraying leaves. It always encourages blight and rot, and I stay away from that. But you could do that. So there are a couple plants you do not want to use this on. This is your acidic type plants like blueberries. Blueberries like that acidic soil, like around a pine tree, because think about it, they're growing all over the place up north in the north woods, right? So they like a little more acidic soil. Azaleas, rhododendrons, these are plants that like a little more acidic soil, so you might not want to use Epsom salt teas. Next, organic AF is your Comfrey Tea. Comfrey for me, Comfrey Tea. Comfrey Tea. Comfrey is the miracle plant of the Homestead. So you can, it's a deep miner. I mean, it sends roots down to Hades. I mean, it sends roots deep. You cannot kill this once you put it in place. Once it starts growing, it sends roots down. And the beautiful thing is, because those roots are so deep, it is pulling up massive amounts of nutrients into the leaves and making this thing grow. It is so wonderful because you can use it for so many things. Amy Dingman was just talking on her latest podcast, The Farmer's Kind of Life, about getting stung in the face by a cloud of mosquitoes, and she used Comfrey salve on her face to help with the mosquitoes. It's a healing agent. If you have it in the yard, it can be used as a fertilizer. It can be used for livestock to help their tummies. You know, when they're not feeling well, they can eat it and they'll heal themselves, right? And you'll find deer come through and they'll eat it, or rabbits come through and eat it because they're trying to heal whatever's ailing them. Humans can't just directly consume it. It's no bueno, so don't do that. But you can use it as, if you get a cut, it'll heal the wound. It is amazing stuff. And you can also use it as a fertilizer, a compost tea, or a Comfrey tea. So, word of caution. It's miracle stuff, but oh my God, it stinks. It smells like you killed someone and put them in a bucket. It can smell horrible. Do not spill this on your hands. Do not spill this on your clothes, your shoes. You do not want to spill this. You want to fire and move away rapidly, and you might even have to throw the bucket away. It is the nastiest stuff. I used it on the farm. I had 15 comfrey plants, and I made a brew of this stuff. Holy hell, was it raw. So again, non-chlorinated water. Comfrey leaves, a big bunch of those. You can chop them, you can shred them, you can use them whole, and you're gonna put them in that water. You can even put a stone over it to make sure that stuff sinks. and then it'll start to stink, right? It'll start to brew. So you can brew it for 3 to 6 weeks. You can brew it even less and use it. 3 to 6 weeks will get a really strong brew, and you're gonna wanna dilute the tea, okay? So dilute the tea. You want to go 1 to 2, 1 part tea to 2 parts water, or you can go even 1 to 10, 1 part tea, 10 parts water. You just don't want to burn the plants. I mean, this stuff is pretty potent. You want to dilute it down. So 1 to 10 is usually a pretty good deal there. So, and it all depends how long you steep it. If you do it for like 24 hours, you probably don't have to dilute it, but you're going to want to steep it for a bit and let those microorganisms do their thing. Loosely, just set a lid on there. Don't snap it if you're going to have a lid on your bucket, because that'll kind of contain the stink. So there you go. Comfrey Tea. Good stuff. That is really good stuff. So use it. I need to get some comfrey here because hummingbirds love it, and I want to have Comfrey Tea. Okay, next one. The next type of organic fertilizer you can use, stinging nettle tea. Stinging nettle. I've got some, I can see some right out there on the shoreline. I've been eradicating it because it does sting. So use gloves, wear long pants. It'll get your skin and it'll burn, okay? But you can use it in a tea. Again, it pulls up nutrients, and as it starts to decay, it will add great nutrients to your tea. So again, get you some stinging nettle, get a pile. You can shred or chop the leaves, put it in there, let it steep 1 to 2 weeks, not 6, 1 to 2, okay? You're gonna wanna get those leaves out of there. So either a paint straining bag, or maybe you got a brew bag from your wine or beer making, you could use that, but paint straining bags are cheap. Use those. And then let it steep for 1 or 2 weeks. Get the leaves out and everything, and then dilute it. Again, 1 to 10. 1 part tea, 10 parts water, and you will have a really good tea. However, holy hell, does that stuff stink too. So Comfrey Tea, stinging nettle tea, stink to high heaven. Just be aware of that. Don't slop it on your clothes. Don't slop it on your shoes. I remember some gardener from England talked about, for her allotment, she used stinging nettle tea, and she slopped some on her shoes and had to throw them away. It is that potent and that brutal. When you brew it, find a spot not close to your house. Oh man. So finally, actually I got 2 more. One more. And it's actually 1 or 2, actually 3 more. So another one is compost tea, right? Compost. Or worm casting tea. You can use worm castings too. So we'll talk about compost tea first. Again, compost, really good stuff, really rich compost. Not that crap from big box store that was terrible, but really good compost that you're making yourself. Get some of that, put it in that brew bag or paint straining bag, and then get it into water, non-chlorinated water. It only takes like 1 or 2 cups of compost, maybe even a little bit more if you want just a little bit more in there. So the thing about compost, it's got a lot of microorganisms in it. You're going to want to activate those things. So there is a little bit of cost to this one. It's the brew bag and then the next couple things I'm going to talk about. So you're going to want to use 1 or 2 cups of compost, maybe a little bit more. Then you're going to want to put in 1/4 to 1/2 cup of a food source. Okay, we're going to want to get those microorganisms eating that stuff down. Okay, they want to activate those. We give them a food source, sugar, right? And it's in the form of unsulfured molasses. You're going to add that into the mixture, into the bucket with the water and the compost in a bag. And that's going to activate all those microorganisms, and they are going to love it. And they're going to start to reproduce exponentially. Exponentially. So they're going to grow in there, and you're going to see bubbles and stuff on the top of your bucket. And it is really powerful stuff. After, only 24 to 36 hours, you're ready to go. I mean, it is ready to add to the base of your plants again. So the other thing you're going to want to add, so you've got your unsulfured molasses, you've got your brew bag, and then the third thing you can add even a fourth thing. Third thing is an aerator, like a fish aerator for a fish tank. Adding air in there, just it adds to those microorganisms and really gets them going. I've just bought one off of Amazon. I got to give props to Nate from Garden Like a Viking YouTube channel. I got it off of his Amazon site. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a Vivo Sun pump, 25 watts or something like that. I'm going to have bubbles going like crazy. So I'm really going to try to use Compost Tea and worm casting tea next year and not the Miracle-Gro. So again, that was emergency. I'm not doing that next year. So, and I can even do that in the winter here. See those lights back there? I'm going to have winter gardens going. So more to come on that. So again, 24, 36 hours, you're ready to go with this stuff. Compost tea, or Comfrey tea. Oh, and then with any of the scraps like the Comfrey, the stinging nettle, the compost, and the worm castings. Once this is all done, or even the used coffee grounds, get them in the compost pile. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second too. And it's really the same process with the worm castings. Worm castings are a superfood. This is worm poop, and it is perfect and ready to go. And use that in your garden and use it as a tea around the base of your plants. And it is like, I don't know, giving steroids to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He just gets, these are great superfoods for the plant. So use, and it's all organic. So use worm castings. I know Big's Box Store sells them. My friend Adam Rick sells them. And we can get you some worm castings. And I've used them this year and they are truly good. I just kind of didn't use them and used Miracle-Gro instead. But anyway, okay, there is one more. The fish emulsion tea. Okay, so this is like the King Neptune stuff, or I know there's a bottle even at Walmart. You know, it's an organic fish-based fertilizer, and it comes in a liquid, almost like it looks like a bleach bottle, but it's got this fish stuff in there, and it's got instructions on it. The King Neptune stuff, it's a smaller, you know, it's even smaller than my water bottle here, but it's very concentrated fish emulsion, and you put like a couple tablespoons per gallon, or maybe for 5 gallons. No, I think it's per gallon. And you mix it in there, and you can even add your air line in there out of your air pump and put some air into it. You can add some of that molasses in there, and you're creating a really rich, microbe abundant fertilizer that you can use around the base of your plant. So I've used it. I've used a little bit of it this year. I've got to get some more. My mom actually, I got her a bottle and I needed to get one for myself. And I think a big bottle, like a big bleach bottle worth, is like $24 at Walmart. So just, you know, look around and see if there's at a garden center or somewhere has a little cheaper stuff. Maybe they have it at Menards or Lowe's or Home Depot, wherever you're at. Maybe it's a little cheaper. I don't know. But it works as well. So, you know, those are just a few. There are other ways to do this, and I'm going to do more research on my end because I really want to get this dialed in. I don't want to use Miracle-Gro. I don't want to use Mittleider Micro-Nutrients. I'd rather use like rock dust and blood meal and Epsom salts and used coffee grounds and Comfrey and stinging nettle. And leaf mold. I'd rather use really good materials to make really rich compost and really use that stuff to its most and fullest. So this year, I broke glass. I pulled the emergency handle and grabbed my chute and jumped out the door of the airplane that was starting to spiral. So I will admit I did that. I have been getting growth out there. That has turned around, but it has not changed my opinion about how I want to garden next year. It has not changed my opinion about having, it's actually 40 little micro environments in all these grow bags. I'm going to just have maybe 16, you know, or something. I'm going to work on that a little bit, but I am going to change up that garden. I've changed a little bit in how I want to garden, and I want to do it my way. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to last podcast episode, And an update to that, I went out and I bought 3 55-gallon drums, and I'm going to cut those in half and turn my hybrid rain gutter grow systems into more barrel gardens, barrel wicking gardens. So that's going to be for 2025, and I've already got the barrels. I'm ready to go. I might even, no, I can't yet. I gotta wait. But I've got ideas. So yes, things are happening. I'm trying really hard to, when I make a decision like this, to do it and not dither and think and worry. I mean, that was part of the design process with the garden this year, to be truthful, is I was kind of like, oh, let me design. And it was just like, no, you just got to build. And sometimes you just got to go forth and prosper. So, right? In the immortal words of Han Solo, go forth and prosper. Anyway, I know there's a bunch of eyes rolling and somebody threw something at me virtually, and that's okay. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. I'm sure there's a lot more, and some of the seasoned gardeners that watch, they are probably going to give me an earful about these things. The coffee is good. It's totally fine. Please do. I am always ready to learn, do, grow, be a little better every day. And that, my dear audience and my dear friends, is a good thing. So I am open to learning too. So if you got links, if you got things, if there's things you do, if there's things I can improve, just let me know. Because I really want to have really rich soil that produces a lot of great veggies and do it well. And I am open to whatever. But yes, we are coming to the end of harvest season. Corn relish is made, salsa is coming up next, dilly beans and pickles hopefully will be there. And it'll be time to shut down the garden and move it inside. So things are going to happen. I know everybody is rolling their eyes again, but October 10th, or maybe even earlier, October 5th is coming fast. And then we're into winter or deep fall. So yeah, it's time for harvest. It's time to celebrate and go from there. So this is Tom from Small Scale Life. Remember to learn, do, grow, be a little better every day. And that, my friends, all my friends, all of you, is a good thing. So we'll see you on Friday with a garden tour video. And then we'll have a newsletter out on the Small Scale Life email list. If you want to sign up for that, that'd be great. And then we're going to do Whole 30 Challenge in September. Oh, and then the polar plunge is going to start soon. Oh boy, we're going to have to get the cold plunge going. It's all coming, peeps. All right, this is Tom. We'll see you real soon. Take care, everybody.